All right, Coach, it's game week. Officially, the 2017-18 season is here. But first, before we kind of get into talking about those games, let's look back at last Saturday's exhibition at Butler. Obviously, an encouraging performance overall. Some things you want to clean up, some things that you did well, though, as well. 86-79 loss. So kind of what were the takeaways from that exhibition up there?
Well, one, I thought this was, you said formal interview. You want to do a formal interview with me. I came dressed, ready to go for this deal, so I'm glad. Game week, we got to be ready to roll. But no, I thought the Butler game. You go out of there and there's some things you're encouraged with. I was really happy with how we competed, how hard we played. I was happy with our resiliency. I thought we stayed together when things got difficult. We got down 13 in the second half at one point with about 11-12 to go. Looked like we were on the ropes to getting knocked out, and we obviously cut it to 4 there with a little less than 4 to go, out of 3 to cut it to 1 and missed it, and had some other opportunities there late, and credit Butler. They made a lot of really tough shots and big time plays, and so there's a lot to be encouraged about it. I think that doesn't obscure the fact that we had a number of breakdowns. We had a lot of areas that I think we could have been better. We gave them the first half 10 points on complete, where we just disengaged defensively, got beat on some backdoor cuts. Aren't even, they were preambles to their play, not even really a part of what they were looking for, and we got beat on some cuts and layups, and so that was frustrating. We turned it over 15 times. Played in crowds too much. I thought. And then I think loose balls. They were quicker and more aggressive to lose balls and gave themselves some opportunities there where ball kind of got batted around, and they came up with it and were able to make a play. So the line is really high when you play a team like Butler that's borderline top 25 there in Division I, and to reach that line and be good enough to win. Obviously the competitiveness and execution parts. I thought competitively. We were above the line. We played as hard as we possibly could. I thought we stayed together. I thought we executed for the most part. If we didn't turn it over, we executed pretty well offensively. Shot, 52%. But 15 turnovers is too much. You can't give them. They're too good to give them. We gave them 10 points on just absolute, mental breakdowns defensively, and then if you want to include some late shot clock fouls where we left our feet, were undisciplined, and bailed them out with 1 or 2 seconds on the clock, and it happened 3 times. So, you throw that in there, and then loose balls, turnovers, and it becomes a little too much to overcome. But you leave out there encouraged, and certainly also hopefully with an understanding of that there's a lot of work to do. We got to get a lot better, because like I told them in the locker room, the line against Butler on November 4th was high, but some of the teams on our schedule, Butler is that line that we had to hit to beat Butler. It's going to be higher as we get to December, January, and some of the teams we're going to play will be, not saying they're better teams than Butler, but the line to beat them will be higher than it was to beat Butler on November 4th. So we've got to continue to get better and take the things we know we can do better moving forward, and the areas we got to clean up and try to clean them up here this week.
One of the real positives from the Butler game was how Emmanuel Terry looked. He looked most of the game, from my perspective, to be the best player on the court. 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks. He led the entire game in those categories. And what was incredibly surprising, too, is he's 8 for 11 from the free throw line. What did you see from him, and what does that performance bode for him going forward?
Well, I thought, I agree with you. I thought, in a game where you got 2 of the top 50 players in the country, as voted on the other day, in Kamar Baldwin and Kellen Martin for Butler. I do think Emmanuel, that night was the best player on the floor, and he's worked hard on his free throw shooting. He's a guy that gets fouled a significant amount. It's an area that he's really tried to improve in. He's a guy that really is a hard worker. Emmanuel's a guy that loves the game. He wants to be good. He's gotten better every single year he's been here, where he was a freshman and where he is today. I mean, just an absolute credit to his passion for the game. He's a guy that does extra above and beyond what's required, and so it's not surprising, but it was good to see him step up and make free throws. I thought offensively, I mean, all 3 scrimmages we've played, he's had over 20 points in each. He's been a guy that as his offensive game has evolved. Obviously, with our team this year, he's a guy that we look for a little more, and so as his skill set has expanded, we certainly he's a guy that we feel like we can put in positions to score, and he's going to take advantage of those. And Emmanuel's a guy that not only can score, but he can pass. He gets in the seam on those ball screens, and he's a guy that can make the right read, make the right play, get his teammates shots. And so, really, I think for him moving forward, has to give him a big, boost from a confidence standpoint. I mean, he's got to feel walking out of there that he's capable of playing at an extremely high level against really good competition. And he battled his brains out. Both ends of the floor. He played intelligently. He only fouled twice in 33 minutes. Thought he was really locked in, engaged, and obviously not only did he do what he did offensively, but as you said, the 5 blocks. He erased some drives there at the rim that really were great plays. Took away 2 points from them, and then was able to trigger some transition for us.
Well, now the season is here, like we said, and it gets cranked up really fast. I get 5 games essentially in a little over 2 weeks, starting on Friday at Lees-McRae. So kind of, what have you learned about yourself after that Butler game, and what are you expecting to see going into this weekend?
Well, I think, we learned a lot about ourselves this preseason. Each game presented different challenges and different, areas that we were able to kind of be exposed in. And so I think, we've gotten better. No preseason's perfect. You want to, the goal is to get as good as you can by the 10th, and you never know. We'll tip it off tomorrow and see. But I think we come out of the preseason right now feeling as though when we do things right, we're capable of being a good team. We knew going in we had good players, and we felt like we had a chance to have a good team. We talked about the intangible things that have to go into that, not just the talent, but all the other stuff in terms of the chemistry of the guys, and certainly getting guys to buy into doing the things that go into winning, and then you got to have some luck. And so we'll see how all those things kind of play out over the course of the year. But we'll find out if we're any good as we get to February, March. But I think going into opening weekend, a tremendous challenge. You go in and Lees-McRae, and they're a team that, you look at their record from last year and you say, well, geez, how good are they? And I think, Steve's done an excellent job with them. He's had, I think, their 3 winningest seasons in school history since he's been the head coach there. He's got a team that returns 4 of its top 5 scorers from last year. We look at guys like Dante Fall, Jordan Turner, Patrice Lynch, Rashard Felton, and they return. I think they have 8 seniors, and they're starting guys that didn't even play on the team that weren't there. So they're starting some newcomers, guys like Quay Kimball and Camille Williams and the big 7-footer Dylan inside. So 3 of their starters are new, and they got 4 of their top 5 scorers back and 8 seniors. So they should have a great atmosphere, great crowd. We're going to have to play well to win. I don't think there's any question that if we come out and we're anything less than our best, then we have certainly we'll come up short on Friday, and then you turn around Saturday in less than 24 hours and you play King, and we've played King, I think this is the 9th year in a row or something. So I mean, Georgia's teams, personnel changes and things change, but they don't change. They play hard as could be. They absolutely press you from tip to buzzer. They play fast. They shoot it great. They play well together. He's one of the best coaches in college basketball. Forget Division II. He's won over 1,000 games, and he gets guys that fit their system. They do what they do. They play incredibly hard. They play incredibly disciplined, and that's why they win 20-plus games. Every single year. You can pretty much chalk them up for that. And so we'll have to be really good this weekend to have a chance to win either game. And I think our guys are looking forward to tipping it off and getting this thing started. The preseason is obviously vital, but it's long, and I think everybody's glad it's behind us, and now it's time to play for real. So we'll get a gauge where we are, Friday and Saturday, and then whatever happens, we got to come back to work and and continue that process of trying to, as boring as it sounds, try to improve. And you know, Monday will come, and we'll have to move forward from whatever happens. But we're going to give it our best, and hopefully it'll take our best to have a chance to win either game this weekend.